obviously, much of your activity depends on construction. French economy is obviously something that's very central to your company. How do you see the French economy evolving next year? It looks like in your carnet you have quite a few orders already. But can you just give us an idea of what you expect?
Well, France represents approximately 62% of our sales. We have increased our sales figures in France by 10% in 2004, so we have done a very good performance in France, and the outlook is good, with an order book overall which is up by 17%, and in particular in construction we have almost 12 months in order book. So we have a good visibility on the activity of our group for 2005.
A lot of analysts were positively surprised by this 4.2 rise in margins on construction and also on energy. Do you see this as sustainable? Why do you see these margins? Why can you increase these margins?
I think that this level of margin is a result of a policy that we have implemented for a long time now in our group, which consists in being very selective on taking new orders. Some years ago, our turnover was not increasing, but it was rather declining, but at the same time the margin was increasing. So now we are achieving at the same time an improvement in margin and also a volume increase, which is probably due to the very good situation of the French market as well. So we believe that we have still some rooms for improving our margins in all the divisions, because we are not performing well everywhere. In particular, in some foreign operations, we can do much better.
The dividend has been raised by a huge, whopping 48%. Why have you raised the dividend? Is there really nothing out there that's interesting as far as acquisitions are concerned?
Well, I think we have been able in 2004 to self-finance all our needs, including development and return of cash to the shareholders. We have done the whole thing because we have generated 1.5 billion euros. We have spent something around 900 millions of developments in new concession and acquisitions. In particular, we have raised our share in ASF to 23%, and we have been able at the same time to spend something around 600 million in dividends and share buybacks.
If the government gave the go-ahead, would you increase further your stake in ASF?
Definitely yes, but it's not on the agenda since we have signed an agreement with the states which is valid until end of 2007, according which we should maintain our stake at the existing level.
There is the imminent privatization of the northern network of roads in France, northeast, I believe, this year. Would you be interested in taking a stake in that?
No, we have clearly said a long time ago that we were only interested in ASF because we believe that there are interesting synergies between our two groups, and the counterpart of that is that we are not interested in the other motorways operators, so SANEF, which is the one you were talking about, and the same apply to APRR, which is a network in the Lyons region.
A lot of analysts that I spoke to this morning would like you to give objectives for these public-private partnerships for the building of hospitals and prisons, etc. How do you see this evolving throughout the next year?
I think that if I look what is happening all over Europe, including in the United Kingdom or in Germany or other countries, it's definitely an interesting move for the future. The problem we have in France is the legal situation, which doesn't permit for the time being to get orders in these PPPs. But obviously, as a main construction company, we are looking at that very closely. We are presently preparing 6 offers for hospitals and prisons, but I think that the process will take some time because we have still to discuss on the exact terms of those new deals, which imply very long-term commitment from us, not only in providing facility management services, but also financing.
One last question here, and you didn't get the concession for the Brussels airport. You have small stakes in Mexico and in China, airports there. Given that air transport is suffering and that there aren't really that many synergies seen by analysts between the airport concessions and the rest of your activities, is there some kind of progressive exit planned from this?
Well, in fact, what we have done in 2004 is to divest all the non-core stakes we had in this business. We sold the TBI stake, 15%. We sold our stake in southern Mexican airports. and we sold recently our 3% stake in Beijing. Because we didn't really play an active role in those airports. So we are now refocusing our portfolio on 2 French very small airports, because we believe that something might happen in the future in France. So we have to be there, and we are presently keeping our management contract of the Cambodian airport, because we are really playing an active role.
Final question. Eastern Europe. I see you said that you've got these acquisitions in Serbia and Slovakia, etc. Are you planning on continuing making acquisitions in this region?
We are already making more than 1 billion euros of sales in Eastern Europe, mainly in Czech Republic, Poland and Hungary. Most of the growth, in our opinion, will come from organic rather than acquisitions. There are not very big players in those countries. There are some medium-sized companies that we might have a look at, but I think definitely that the growth will come mainly from organic growth.
Labeyrie,
Thank you very much.